A lot of parents in this season are concerned about how to manage the digital world with parenting.
This has consequence on our national economies. I said it in the book. Part of the reason we are seeing rampant corruption is that people are saving money for generations unborn to cushion them from a life that they didn't get them ready for.
Hi there, welcome to Dove Vibes with Chinwe Kalu. It's great to be here once again. Today we're going to be zeroing in on that relationship that you are in, and there are certain things going on there that you need to look out for to confirm that this relationship is good to go or needs to end. So we're going to be talking about those things that you see in your relationship that make it necessary for you to break up the relationship and walk away. That's what we're going to be talking about today. What are the signs that the relationship should end and that you should take a walk and just keep walking? On the broadcast, I'm focusing on couples that are already in relationship. That is, you're not yet married. So the counsel that we're giving today is not for married people, because the marriage journey is another journey entirely. This is for couples who are in relationship, you are dating, and you are hoping that in fact, you have started talking about getting married. Some of us might be in that place, and you're noticing some things, and you're wondering, should I not? This program is for you. At the end of the day, look at your relationship, compare it to the things that we share with you today, and see, how it is doing. If a lot of the things that we talk about on the program today are your experience in your relationship, then it's time to let that relationship go. Remember that we're trying to help you scrutinize your relationship, decide if this relationship is worth taking into the marriage level or not. Many people are in relationship because they ultimately want to get married. However, that in itself is not a problem. But there are times when people, both men and women, they hold on too tight. You don't want to let it go. You know that things are going on that make you think, okay, should I not? But you don't want to make the ultimate decision to let the relationship go. And why don't they do that? Why do they hold on so tight? Because we are creatures of habit. We've been in this relationship, the wahala of going to another, breaking this one up and looking for another one. Do I really want to go through that? The relationship has become a habit, and you tolerate things that you shouldn't, despite the fact that those things are not good for you. You're afraid of being alone again. Maybe you have dated this guy or this girl for 2 years, 3 years, and it's just the time you're supposed to be rounding things up. And here you are thinking, maybe I should let it go. Or they don't know how to explain to their friends and family. Your mom has been seeing this guy for 2 years, your father has been seeing this girl for 2 years, and it's like now you have to go back to them and start to explain. Now, sometimes you're just afraid that you might not find another person. This is particularly so for the girls, when they tell you that your biological clock is what? Ticking. So when they tell you that, you are scared, you think, let me just manage what I have rather than trying to look all over again. You don't want to go back to being pressured to get married. These motivations to stay maybe stronger for the women than the men, because a lot of men just think there are many fishes in the ocean. But for women, we seem to think we're limited, we're this, and because of that, we tend to hold on a little tighter than we should. But the truth is that a relationship that is not working well is not going to end up in a marriage that works well. A spouse-to-be that is misbehaving before marriage is not likely to stop misbehaving when he or she gets married. So those things you are seeing that are giving you concern, you really need to look at them again and make good decisions, because a life in a bad marriage is not a good thing. You won't wish it on your worst enemy, trust me. So what are these signs that we have to look out for? I always say that people must have expectations in relationships. You want to get married to this guy, you want to get married to this guy. What are your expectations? What are you hoping to get? What are you expecting your relationship to be like? They must be spelled out. You must have them, and don't just keep them to yourself. You must communicate them to each other and then hold each other to those expectations. We've given yourself a good amount of time, 1 year, 2 years, and those expectations are not being met. The next thing to do is to let the relationship go. Don't walk into a marriage with expectations that are not being met before you get married. No, don't ever do that to yourself. Once you give it a reasonable period of time, you must not continue if you don't get your expectations. If those things that you really want in a relationship, you're not getting them, and you have communicated them and yet you're not getting them, then you need to stop. Respect yourself, love yourself, and walk away. That's the thing to do. But let's talk about these signs. What are they? There may be many more than I will mention. However, these ones are some of the things that you could notice that make you know that this is not the place to be. Now, if a relationship constantly makes you feel anxious and sad, and the time spent with your partner make you feel even more anxious, every person deserves better than that. So if you constantly feel anxiety for whatever reason, maybe it's something he says to you, or a certain manner he or she behaves, or a certain thing that happens whenever you are together, then it is something to think about. Don't just ignore it and think, oh, well, it will be better next time. It will be better when we get married. It doesn't get better. If it is not good now, it will not get better then. Marriage is not suddenly going to make two of you different. So whatever it is that is making your being together bring anxiety and sadness to you when you're together, it's even going to be worse when you're living together in marriage. Because at this point, whenever you annoy each other, you can just go you go to his house, you go to your house. But when you're married and those things are happening, you are living with it. So that anxiety and sadness you only feel when you're spending time with him, you are now going to be feeling it all the time because you live with him or her. Think about it again. It's enough reason to pause and ask yourself a few questions, because your partner should be committed to the things that you expect from him or her. If he's not committed to them, she's not committed to them, then when you're still just dating, what happens when you now get married? When he thinks you are now in, when she thinks you are now in, it's just going to get worse. So this is not the time to ignore such things and think, well, it's nothing really, I'm just making a fuss. No, you're not making a fuss. It's a life you're about to get into, a whole new life. And if you're not getting the things you want before, you're not going to get them after. And it's going to get worse after. So please think again. Or sometimes you continually wish someone else was in your life. In fact, sometimes you're tempted to try someone else. Or your partner is also cheating on you. Once you get there, there's no point. There's just no point. Why are you in a relationship with someone who's cheating on you? Why? And why are you in a relationship with someone who's making you feel like cheating on him or her? That means you are so dissatisfied. This person is not bringing any pleasure to you to the point where you are thinking, let me get something else. But you're still holding on to the relationship. Once you start thinking of trying someone else and you're just in a relationship, then you need to stop the relationship and go and try someone else. You know, you don't have to marry this person you are with. You don't. I like to talk to people who I believe are in faith, but I know that people listen to me that are not faith people. But you see, whether you're a faith person or not, once you start to have premarital sex, your abilities to respond appropriately become compromised. So if you are not sleeping with the person, you have no reason to stay with this person. Just move on. Tell yourself, cheating is a no-no. It's the one place where you should not tolerate when you're still dating. I mean, when you're married and you find out that your husband is doing something you shouldn't do, or your wife is doing something she shouldn't do, there's already a relationship that is beyond just liking each other. And so there's need for you to go through counseling and go through a process to heal things there. But if it's in a dating situation, you don't need to, because you see, it's going to translate ultimately into your marriage. And you don't need that. So once the person can't sit still, or you are beginning to think, I'm not satisfied with this person, I need to try a few other people or try other things, then you have a problem and you need to let that relationship go, because it's not making you do things you wouldn't normally do. Cheating is a no-no from you on the person or the person towards you is a no-no. Once it starts to even come up in your thoughts, you know what Jesus said, that once you have thought it, you have done it. So please, watch yourself. Or you feel you're not getting as much value, from the relationship. I mean, although I do think that some things that some young women do is overboard in terms of a relationship you are in. Here you are constantly bringing something, doing something, trying to do something, and the person just laps it all up and doesn't reciprocate. There's something wrong with that. You need to be able to bring something to the table as he's bringing something or she's bringing something to the table. So if you don't think you are getting enough value, and value doesn't have to be in terms of, I don't at this point, I don't even think it's supposed to be in material things. I mean, such simple things as you send a text message, you are the one who's constantly texting and he doesn't or she doesn't respond. There's something wrong with that. Or you're the one who's constantly making the calls, and except you call, that person doesn't call. I mean, that for me is a clear sign that something is not quite right. Can you marry such a person? Yes. But will you be happy with such a person? Trust me, you won't. Because he or she's not going to change his value setting or his value placing on you when you now get married. Because he's just going to say, but I used to be like that from the word go. She's just going to say, but that's how it's always been. And you can't now complain some more when you now get married. So don't allow yourself to be the person who's constantly bringing value and you're not getting any value yourself. You're not in a relationship to die in the relationship. You're in the relationship to nurture one another. So when you're constantly giving and you're not getting anything in return, something is going to suffer somewhere and you are the person suffering. So you need to ask yourself, do I want to suffer like this for the rest of my life? No. Now, if you have become an actor in your relationship because you want to be a certain way for him or her to appreciate who you are, you're no longer yourself. You have lost yourself. You feel you need to be someone else for that relationship to survive. You have to be in a certain mode. For instance, you're the kind of person who likes to wear shorts and t-shirts in your house. But every time he comes, you have to dress up. Complete works. when you get married, are you going to be able to do all that complete works? That's just an aside example. If you have to be a different person just so that you and this person can get along, then it is not sustainable. You can't sustain that. That is a clear sign that something is terribly wrong with this relationship. You can't afford to lose yourself in a relationship. You must remain yourself. He or she must appreciate you for who you truly are. Now, am I saying you are perfect? No. Am I saying that you cannot change? No. But that must be your personal choice. It must be because you choose to do it and you want to do it. Now, if you're just doing it because you're trying to impress the person you are with, it's not going to work. It's not sustainable. So just understand that and remember that you can't do it sustainably. Or you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel respected, or you don't feel you are really wanted. Where every time you're in that person's space, he when he talks or she talks to you, she depreciates you. She doesn't. Whenever you're with her, you don't really feel like he's glad or she's glad that you're with her. You know, you just don't feel a sense of being really appreciated when you're with this person. If that is you, you need to stop the relationship. You need to just walk away. Don't allow yourself to be that person who is just tolerated in a relationship. Don't be that person. So while you are so totally thrilled about this person, he or she just feels, okay, she's here, okay. And she's, you know, you can tell. Do people get married to people they feel that way about? Yes. They do. And you need to understand that some people just don't get married for the right reasons. Some people think they want to get married because they're old enough. Some people think they want to get married because they want to have children. Some people think they want to get married because they want to fulfill righteousness or they want to, tick the boxes. So they're not necessarily getting married for the right reasons. And so they don't feel a need to tick their own boxes in terms of the right thing to do in relationships. So he can feel or she can feel that way towards you and still marry you. But you are not feeling happy. He's okay, she's okay. Why? Because she's fulfilling what she wants to do, or he's fulfilling what he wants to do. But you are not happy. You are not okay with it. Why are you going along with it? It is possible to marry such a person, and then you end up being the sad and miserable one. And when you start to complain after you've gotten married, it's like, but this is how you've always been. What do you want that is extra? I've always been like this towards you. What do you mean I don't appreciate you? Isn't this the way I've always been? So you need to speak up and make decisions now before you get married. Feeling appreciated is something you should feel when you're with somebody that you are dating. And if your partner suddenly changes, he used to be in a certain mood, but he's no longer there. He used to call every day. He's no longer calling you every day. Now he calls you once a week. He used to come visiting a lot. He's no longer coming visiting. But every once in a while, he'll just show up just to tick the box. Or she will just come. There's certain things she used to do and she used to say and she used to be. And then all of a sudden, you are no longer getting those things. It's one of two things. Either that they were pretending in the first place, and so all those things they were doing were not really them, or something has changed in the way they feel towards you, and so they are now adjusting themselves. Why don't they just walk away? Honestly, I can't understand that question. Because like I said to you, a lot of people have different motivations for getting married. And if the motivation is just to tick the box, they can marry you despite the fact that they've changed their attitude and they've changed in their thoughts and their feelings towards you. Because there's something else they're trying to accomplish besides getting married that only getting married can do for them. So you need to understand that and watch out for change in behavior. Obvious change in behavior is something to worry about and think about. And when issues do arise, like maybe you complain about some of these things I'm talking about, and the person is not willing to do anything to change them. If somebody wants to be with you, he needs to make the effort, she needs to make the effort to align herself to the things that you are complaining about and try to make adjustments and make amendments. But if he's not making or she's not making any attempt to do it, then that tells you right there that this is not someone who wants to make a relationship with you a good one. And then such things as your value system, they don't align. I was just talking to a young lady and she was saying that she's talking to a Yahoo boy was saying, I can't marry. I said, I can never marry when I don't know how you make your money. she said something. She said, when his source of income changes, then he now uses me to I will now become the next ritual for him. You know what I mean? If your value systems don't align, then you should not be in marriage with that person. If you know him to be somebody who's not always honest, and you are the kind of person who's a stickler for honesty, you should walk away from there. You shouldn't be in a relationship with somebody whose way of life is not aligned with yours. Even if it's just a 50%, 30% misalignment, it's enough to cause problems when you eventually get married. Or you are not feeling compatible. Now, value system is meant for being compatible because you can have similar value systems but not be compatible. And when I'm talking about compatibility, I'm talking about compatibility spiritually. I'm talking about compatibility emotionally. I'm talking about even intellectual capacity. Do you guys think alike? Are you able to understand one another when you talk? The way you think, is it similar? Do you understand? Are you exposed to the same things? Do you have the same level of exposure to life? So that when you're talking, you can understand one another. Even physically, all right? You have to be properly, you need to feel a sense of compatibility with the person you are dating to want to take it to the next level of marriage. If you're not feeling compatible, that's when you're talking, he's talking on a level, or she's talking on a level that is too low for you, or doesn't challenge your own thinking process enough. You need to ask yourself again if this relationship is worth your while. So compatibility is very important. Spiritual compatibility is also very important, because you might both be Christians, you must both be born again, you go to the same church, but your level of commitment to the things of God is different from his or her level of commitment. If you do not do something about it, you will be sad. Because there you are thinking, to pray, I must pray every morning for 1 hour. He's thinking, what's all this praying about? Or she's thinking, what's all this every day, pray. So you need to be sure that you are compatible even spiritually. Don't assume that because you are both Christians that everything will be okay. It doesn't always work like that. When you feel fear, real fear in a relationship, remember I talked about being sad? This is fear now, where you're constantly afraid for one thing or the other. Something happens and you're afraid for the relationship, or you're afraid of your partner to be. For whatever reason, you feel the sense of fear. Fear should never be a word that comes up in a relationship with somebody. Someone you want to marry and you're feeling fear. No, that's not that's not an emotion that should come up ever at any point in your relationship. Once that is there, it's a red flag, quick red flag, and you need to know. Of course, the big one is if there's any form of abuse. If he or she ever raises their hand to touch you, brutalize you in any way, you don't even need to think about that one. The thing to do is to walk away and never go back there. If he doesn't want you to be with your family members, he doesn't like your friends, none of your friends are good enough, none of your family members are good enough for him or her, that kind of person, you shouldn't allow that kind of person into your life. And there are other things that you might experience, but you see, one thing I must say is that letting go may be hard, but it becomes necessary, if you're experiencing any of these things. If you are seeing these things and you're experiencing them on a regular basis, that relationship is not worth your while. You need to let it go and walk away. Despite your fears, you must understand that you do not have any control of your future. There's someone who does, God, and his thoughts towards you are good thoughts. Sometimes when he's taking you away from somebody, he's bringing you to a place of blessing. And you might be feeling a lot of pain right now, and that is okay, just a matter of time. You will get past here and other things, someone else will come your way and you'll be wondering, why did I ever think that life was over at that point in time? I remember the first time I had a breakup in my life, I cried and cried and cried and cried. Did I ever believe that by the end of that year, I would be able to date the next person? It always looks like it's the worst time in your life, but it is not. Letting go may be hard, but it becomes necessary if you're experiencing these things. And why am I saying that? Because if you are complaining about these things now, they will not change when you get married. So you want to hold on because you want to get married, they're not going to change. And like I said, when you're in an everyday relationship of marriage, it will be worse. What you're experiencing now that you're thinking is just a little, gets worse when you and the person are living together, wake up together in the morning, you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, everywhere you go together, everywhere you are together. It becomes worse and it becomes more difficult to experience, to deal with those things when you're now in a marriage situation. So you do not want a lifetime of these things because they don't go away. If he used to cheat, she used to cheat, she will keep cheating. She's not going to stop because of you. Even if she wants to stop, it will require a lot more than just a decision. So you don't need to be in that whole process because there are other people. So if you have the courage to walk away, you're not just walking away because what you are seeing is not good enough for you. You're walking away because you are trusting that God is able to give you better and that you deserve better. You do deserve better. So walk away and then watch God do what he can do in your life. Okay? You don't need these constant negative behaviors in your life. Walk away before you tie knots and it becomes difficult to walk away. Now, unhappiness in a relationship is damaging. It's damaging to everybody involved, especially in a marriage setting. So you must appreciate yourself enough to know that you deserve more than this thing that you're experiencing right now. You shouldn't be damaged because you're in a relationship with another person. And a lot of the time when you continue with this kind of thing, you eventually become damaged. You don't need that. Walk away so that you walk away whole. You deserve to feel loved. You deserve to feel appreciated. You deserve to feel like what you have is a good thing. If you're not sure, then let it go. It's always better to have a broken relationship than a broken marriage. Take the bold step of walking away while you are still dating, because if you don't, you will either suffer endlessly in a marriage that you don't like or have to walk away from a bad marriage ultimately, and that experience is worse. There's something about walking away from a bad marriage that is not the same as walking away from a bad relationship. Same person, but you let him go when you, or let her go when you were just dating, and you marry her and let her go. There's a difference. It is not the same. So don't say, hey, if I get married and it doesn't work, then I'll. No, that is more damaging than just walking away from a relationship that you don't think is good for you. All right. So make the decision and have the courage to do what needs to be done. All the things you feared, they will come and they will go, and you will still stand. And ultimately, some of the things you even feared might not even happen. For instance, you might say, when will I meet the next guy? And it's just all God's waiting for you to do is let this one go, and the next one shows up in the office the next morning or a month later. So let us not be afraid. Let us be strong and trusting. The word of God says that the blessings of the Lord, they make rich, they don't add sorrow. So if this one is adding constant sorrow to you, let it go. Do you know that scripture, I learned it because of a bad relationship. A relationship I had to let go of. And one day somebody shared it when I realized that is my scripture. If I'm feeling that this relationship is not a blessing to me, then it is not of God. I need to let it go. And it was one of the things that helped me ultimately walk away from that relationship. So be strong, because your peace, your joy, and your life, your future depends on your ability to make good choices and good decisions now. A bad marriage is one of the biggest truncators of destiny. Trust me. Don't get into a bad relationship. Don't carry a bad relationship into marriage, because it has capacity to truncate your entire destiny. Marrying the wrong person has capacity to truncate your entire destiny. Trust me, you don't want to be there. These are the signs, and I know that there are others. You might be experiencing things that I haven't even talked about. Whatever it is, if it is, you continue to see this thing you don't like over a period of time, you've given them time, you talk to them about it, and it's not still changing. The thing to do is walk away. Have the courage to walk away. I'm talking to people who are in relationship, not people who are married. Because when something goes wrong in marriage, except it is totally impossible, nobody's going to tell you to walk away from your marriage. Because marriage is different. Which is why we ask people to, like the Nigerian parlance says, shine your eye before the marriage, so that you can make good decisions and choices way before time. So that by the time you get married, you are marrying the person that you ought to marry, not the person you are managing, not the person you are just hanging in there with. No. We've had couples who fight on their wedding day, and they don't separate and divorce on that day. No, but the fight starts right there, because people will not do what they're supposed to do. I need to say again and again, it is wiser and better for you to walk away from a bad relationship than to try to get divorced after getting married. The time to walk away is not after marriage. The time to walk away is before the marriage is contracted. And don't be afraid to look these things in the eye and make decisions. So we have spelled a few out, and there may be others you're experiencing that we have not mentioned. Just know that the thing to do is walk away. Don't end up with an abusive husband or wife. Don't end up with an irresponsible husband and wife. Don't end up with an adulterous husband and wife. Or wife. Don't end up with a husband that doesn't respect you, or a wife that doesn't respect you. Don't end up with a man or woman who doesn't honor God the way you do. These are all critical things. But we just think, I need to be married. You don't need to be married. Marriage is not a badge of honor. It is not. It's a responsibility. And once you don't have the right person to do it with, it becomes hell on earth. So let's do it right. Let's make the right choices. And so I hope that from these things that I've shared, that you are beginning to think on the right path. What we're trying to do is get you to understand that if you don't like it, walk away. If it's not bringing pleasure, walk away. If it's not blessing you, let it go. The Lord is faithful. He will not leave you without a spouse if you want one. He won't. So let's make the right decisions. Let's do what we need to do. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. I'm hoping that if you're in that place of wondering, should I not, you're able to look at the things we've talked about and make a good decision. Now, if you look at them and you think your relationship is doing okay, fine, all well and good. But don't just assume. Look closely, look again, be sure. Some people are in love with the idea of being in love, and because of that, they remain in their relationships. But that is not sustainable. So do the needful, and you'll be blessed for it, okay? Thank you so much for joining our broadcast today. I hope that we've been a blessing, and that you'll be with us again sometime soon. Remember to join us on all our social media platforms. We're Dove Vibes with Chinwe Kalu on Instagram. We're Dove Vibes with Chinwe Kalu on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Be with us, make comments, add some thoughts to the things that we're sharing, and you'll be glad that you did. One happy, community. All we're trying to do is build strong family. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you again sometime soon. Bye-bye.